This here is the very first guitar book that I remember touching. It was right at the bottom of the staircase on the floor. I had ran over to the window. My mom was laying out that day, and this had to be right around the time that my hand was smacked by my nanny about, don't touch the guitar, etc., etc. So this is a time that I'm being sneaky. Nobody else is in the house but me. My mom is out back laying out, and I climbed up on a chair and looked out the window, and I seen that she was laying down, and I understood how fast she could get up off the ground and into the house if she thought that I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, or if there was something going on and she needed to be there, in the presence. She was quick about that. So I understood that. I went, I saw she was laying down and getting sun, and then I ran over somehow. I don't remember where the guitar book was, but it ended up with me sitting on the floor, and I opened it up, and this is what it was. Guitar Chords by Mel Bay. I wanted to learn more about Mel Bay. I don't know if I ever did. I think I might have investigated a little bit once I got onto the internet. Okay. This was published in Publications Inc., Kirkwood, Missouri. It's really funny. And look how much it costs. $1. Isn't that something? I don't know what year that this actually came out at, but it was on West Jefferson Street, 107 West Jefferson Street. Right here. And it's funny because I really love the Jeffersons theme song. And during the time of me making my recordings, I listened to that theme song a lot. I downloaded it. And I like the commercial television jingles like that. I don't know what they actually call that, but the theme songs for television shows, I liked quite a few of them throughout life. And that's part of how that makes me feel. I kind of want to capture that and put, not copy and paste, but that same joy when I listen to it, moving on up, and clapping your hands, moving on up. I love to feel that. It's lively, because of the churches and stuff I was exposed to throughout life, and watching things like the Blues Brothers movie, and you kind of have that thing going on in your brain while you're listening to it. It's still consistently about the same. And then I sit down in my studio and I listen to it and try to keep my spirit up. And then I go into the recording studio and I'm going to do this, okay? This challenge of my song and what I'm working on, and that same joy that's going on in my brain from listening to that. And the visual now goes into my music. It's just that it's different. And if you lay them side by side, could you even tell? So it's not like that. Sometimes it's hard to explain, but it's more of the joy in my brain when I hit play on that song, and then I go and I record mine. So, very inspirational song to me. I love the lyrics to it. Beans don't fry in the kitchen, or something like that. Beans don't burn in the grill. I love that song a lot. I love the harmonies too a lot. The things that inspire us. Anyway, I'll just go through this a little bit. And obviously, that's a photograph, evidently, of Mel Bay. I don't know that for sure. I don't really know what else he was learned for as far as a guitar player, and what songs, or if any, that he recorded, or if he was more into sharing lessons of the instrument, etc., etc. But it has kind of like the charts, and you can see how the pages are kind of worn a little bit, kind of like that fade appearance and some small tears. And I just wanted the opportunity to share this book because it was the first guitar book that I ever, especially with lessons, that I ever remember opening and looking through. And obviously, throughout life, sporadically, I would go through and I would try some of these chords. And I didn't know how they would work. I could do the basic chords like the E, the A, and the D, but how would I use this in a song? Okay, like the B flat or the E flat, especially holding it that way. I ended up really liking this chord, the way that it's shaped here. You use your index finger. That's what I do anyway, with the high E and the B string, and then you use these two here. So it's kind of like a bar chord, but not a full bar chord. as I learned that, I really like that because you can transpose and move it up and down, and it makes some really cool sounds. You know, stuff like this would be kind of like complicated for me, if you can see that. I have not actually touched and looked at these books since giving them to my brother and him bringing them back in 2020-21. Trying to keep an upbeat while you're being tortured mentally. I didn't know that this went on in such a free country, but I guess that would be part of freedom, correct? People have the right, I guess, to have technology and then enter into your brain and torture you. And because most people evidently don't want any grief, they're not going to share with you that that even exists. I'm going to try. They drain the batteries. My camera's all messed up now. I lost videos today when I was recording. They got my smartphone. They want me complaining about stuff. You can't get away from it. I mean, they put pressure in your brain and then you're forced to talk, or they're talking through you. It's all very delusional, isn't it? I will continue on in the joy of learning to play fucking guitar, when the reality of it is, in later times I tried to do all kinds of things but do music, because I understood that something was making it very difficult. They hate people who write songs for God, to glorify God. They can't stand that. And I understand more today because it goes back to my beginning of 72. You can't serve two masters. And most people are confused with that and end up going about life in such a way that if a person were to surrender to the truth, they couldn't be doing a lot of the things that end up being done if they were to serve a much higher reasoning, purpose, power, God. To worship God looks a lot different than the way that we all go about life from day to day. If I would have known that I was going to be harassed and tortured, I realize how sad this is. I wouldn't have even recorded my music. I would not scared. Okay. Why do you sell dolls and stuff if you don't want people to record music? It seems like a major lawsuit there, doesn't it? Yeah, because that's what they like you saying a lot, lawsuit stuff. Selling something without the warning, you will be tortured when using this program. It's not even a joke, it's for real. Here we go. So, I will continue on. I loved when I learned how to use the A minor chord, D minor, and I love the E minor chord very much. A lot of songs I studied use the E minor chord. Metallica, A minor chord. I love that song. And so here's the thing, check this out. How do you use something like this? I learned in time how to use it. I see jazzy, bluesy players use that chord at different positions, different keys, different chords, names it would be. I ended up liking this one eventually. Okay? So, in going through this, I learned I really liked the 7 chords, even then. I didn't even know why, I just knew that I liked the 7 chords a lot, and I wanted to learn more about them. So was that my brain? The B7, I love that one. And when do you use something like this? And look at the name of that chord. Okay, it's many different things, isn't it? So I really love this book. I love the way that he shows that, his hand being placed onto the guitar and then the chord charts. And you got 9 chords. Okay, how does this all play when, whether recording or playing or writing a song? How would you use chords like that? And I won't go through the whole book. We're just going to shuffle along. I love the diminished sounds. Okay, hold on. Let's see what we get. I'm trying to get past in 6 chord. And I love that the orchestra forms. And then it has all this other stuff here. And this here would be like full bar chords to me. That's what I would call them at some point. You call it the major chords. And then I guess, this here I don't really fully understand. Okay. But evidently it is the fret and what that note would be. Is that it? When it's at 1, oh, fret. Fret 1, it would be that chord, B flat minor, right? Is that what it would be? And then, at the 3rd fret, right here, it would be C minor. So anyway, learned a lot about different positions and stuff with bar chords, and then here it starts to become a little bit too much for my brain, okay? I stuck with in the intro of the book, the basic chords, almost my entire life when it came to playing the guitar. Until later times when I was doing lead guitar more and I was studying other people's music, and then I came into, it goes back to my Mel Bay book that I learned from in the beginning days. So, right from the beginning, this is all the way from Jonestown, Pennsylvania for me, and it has been shuffled around from place to place. Anytime in my presence, I tried to hold it all together. I tried not to spill anything on it, not to sweat on it, not to spray saliva on it when talking. Okay, I love this book. Now, when I moved to Union Alley, and actually I think it started on Lafayette Street, but I'm not sure if that's when I got this specific book. I got The Standard Guitar Method by Dick Bennett. Bennett, is that it? And it was book 1. It cost $3.95. The price tag is still there. That's how I know it is mine from Marty's Music Store in Lebanon, Pennsylvania. $3.95. And here, which I think is really cool, my guitar teacher wrote on, 2 o'clock evidently was my lesson. I needed to get a blank staff book, a small one. And all I had to do is pretty much carry this book in, or downstairs, because my lessons were above Marty's Music Store. All I had to do is walk in and show him this and tell him that it was for lessons. I needed a small staff book. And in that small staff book, I finally learned how to play bar chords. And in that small staff book, I learned how to guitar pick, not with fingers, but with a pick, House of the Rising Sun, and Smoke on the Water. Ding, 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 ding. It seemed like almost everybody that I was acquainted with in passing even, could play that song, at least a little bit of it. It was a very popular song. Smoke on the water, fire in the skies. It's fun to play on guitar, especially for somebody who's a newbie, learning how to play power chords and stuff. I don't know how the song's actually played, but I played it and learned it with, bar chords. So here we go. Let's see if we can find anything here. I have parts of the guitar in here. At some point in my life, I wanted to know my guitar better than I know myself. And I had to learn what each piece was, so when I was talking to the guitar people at the store, I seemed to be more acquainted with what I'm actually talking about when talking to them instead of just pointing it out. This part here, I could actually say the bridge, the saddle, and stuff like that. And it's evidently because of these notes. Now, I don't know how long these notes been in there. This might have been later times, because I was known to myself to restudy and relearn a lot of things musically. This book also gives the parts of the guitar, and we won't go through a whole lot of this. But there were some things, let me see if I can get there quickly. I used to like the tick-tock, tick-tock. Is it the clock won't stop? I forget how it goes exactly, but these are the beginning days for me on learning to play note on the E string, E, F, and G. And I was so grateful to learn how to read music. The Yankee Doodle, I love that a lot. The Barbara Ann Ross, which I liked a lot because that was my mom's name right there. But it looks like he might have put an X on some of these, which meant that we're moving on to doing something different. There's Jingle Bells. But I like some of these were songs that we sang in school too, so I kind of like that, the old folk songs. Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, And let's see. Some of these, it was amazing. What amazed me during this time is that I remember when one time I met somebody. I don't know if it was my guitar teacher at the time or if it was somebody down in Marty's Music, but somehow the question came up about a certain song and if they ever heard it and what it sounds like. And they didn't really know themselves. It was an unfamiliar piece. And they said, well, let me pick up the guitar and I'll play it and we'll see what it sounds like. And I was like overtaken by that. And I watched them and I was like, wow. So that's really what the song sounds like by just reading the music. You figured that out. And it was somebody that was very skilled at sheet music. It was very impressive to me. Learned a lot at Marty's music because I was going there and back and forth until, the place closed down. This old man. I used to like this old man. What is that? And he played knick-knack on my drum. And here's the June 25th, the blank staff book. And it was the Hall Leonard Guitar Method, Book 1. That was the book that I was supposed to get then. That was right around that time in June, in the summer. I don't know, there's no year on it, I don't think. There's June 25th. I was learning O Susanna in that summer. And I love that song. And the Can Can song. At some point, it started to go off the staff, I think, as we get further on. I wanted to browse through and see if I saw any little notes by myself, meaning if I wrote something in it at some point, and I don't see anything here. Here's chords here. I don't know what song it's to. It's E minor, and then it's D, G, D, and then a slow strum E minor. I don't have my guitar anywhere close to me, but it would be interesting to kind of play that. These are like single stroke strums, strum, 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 and then a slow strum, and then double strum. And then it looks like there's 4 strums, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the next chord. So I was learning how to go from E minor to D and G and use the basic chords and how to switch my little fingers at the time from one chord position to another chord. And then it has a chord chart in the back. And a certificate, a promotion that was never signed on my behalf because I never finished the entirety of the book. And there was times, even in later years, I would practice and I would go through all the stuff. I wanted to keep the songs in my mind. And I would go through and it's almost right where I left off. I would have some of the problems with the reading of the music once it starts going off the staff more. And I don't really see anything right here. There was one song that was kind of like the beginning of ouch. I don't think I'm going to be able to play that. My first lesson book and the chords that are circled. At some point, myself or somebody evidently was focusing and working on. And then there's chords written up here by my guitar teacher. I am almost positive, but I could be wrong. Because this book was not just with me. But I know that the beginning right here, I know 100% that is what my guitar teacher wrote. I should have got his autograph. He was really good. And here we go. The guy kind of reminded me a little bit of John Denver. Okay, slightly. He didn't look identical or nothing like that. It's just, from my little tiny brain where it was mentally. And I really love John Denver music. He kind of had that, I don't want to say spirit, but he had that presence. It's like that. And I really enjoyed listening to him play guitar and stuff. So here we go. My John Denver book. I don't really remember when I got this. Probably there. But you can see that's the song I wanted to sing at the talent show. My favorite Monkees song. Cheer up, sweet Virgins. I don't even know what he says. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a coming queen? You once thought of me like a don't know the words. The shaving razor's cold and it stings. I love that voice. I remember looking in the mirror at 147 London Village. Shaving razor's cold and it stings. And did it encourage me? I wanted to kind of like, why does it sting? You know, I was not shaving at that time. I didn't really have hair on my face. I love that song. And the Monkees, I think I remember seeing them when I lived in Jonestown. And then when I saw the reruns on, like, was it Nick at Night, TV Land, or what have you, brought back a lot of good memories, not even associated with the TV show, just in my brain. And I used to kind of get in the conversation. A lot of people like the Beatles. As said often, it's not about personal people and having any kind of beef or problems with anybody, but I used to say I'm not so much a Beatles fan at all. Like others, I like the Monkees. I liked it a lot because of the TV show. You know, obviously they had a great sense of humor in it. I love listening to their music. I love all their voices. I most certainly love Davy Jones. And here it has information on, I don't know if you can see it, for the talent show. This was kind of like one of my first visionaries of what to do with a band in a talent show. I wanted Miss Long. Oh, I have Mrs. Long, so she must be Mrs. Long, my music teacher. I wanted her to play piano and drums. I knew a guy by the name of Greg. This is in junior high school. And then Sam, I wanted to play tambourine, and the lead singer and the guitar player would have been me. And it's right over heart. And I was very well known to dream a lot in school. I would say daydream continuously. And let's see what I have in here. It's funny because there's Back Home Again. And one of my favorite songs is by Cinderella during those times. Back Home Again. Because I'm back home again. See, I don't remember all the words, but here's the thing. I love that song. Yeah, I'm back. But anyway, isn't that something? And then you get into psychology, and it's something trying to lead you from one song to another title. Because at some point, my brain wanted to make sure that it showed me one of the recording artists that used the exact same title to a song to Could Have It All. And though I could care less what people do, I wouldn't know how anything like that would happen unless it was intentional. Because most of the times when I write songs and stuff, even if I share them, I'm not really sharing them with a whole lot of people that would run to major recording artists to give them a song, etc., or ideas or titles and stuff. I don't jump to things like people think. I didn't really realize direct mental communication. If I feel like something not of God is trying to get me to do things, I'm not really interested. And I know that since I've been playing guitar, it felt like something was trying to get me to be or to move, to locate, to talk to people in the music industry, even at my very beginning stages in that area. And it would leave me in a psychological struggle and bondage as to why would something even try. And very difficult to maintain resisting because of a lot of things that you are going through at different times in your life. It's not necessarily the people, it's not necessarily the city, it's you want to seek out why is something trying to get me to go to a place or to meet somebody, to talk to somebody. Why would that be? Evidently something knows something that maybe none of us do. But here's one of my favorite songs by John Denver. Take me home, country roads, to the place. I used to sing that out. I used to tell people all the time that was my favorite song on the radio. It reminded me of the mountain I love. It reminded me of the country roads that I was born and raised driving on, and definitely one of my favorite songs by John Denver. I like his voice and stuff, and I love the lyrics to this song. I used to play it out when I used to play out acoustic shows, and I beefed it up a little bit for me at that time, the best that I could. and played a little bit faster. And I thought, this is one kick butt song. I really, 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 really like it. I used to tell people I don't really like country a whole lot, but I do like John Denver songs. And if he's country, folk, what have you, and that's probably one of the reasons I love folk music. I was born and raised, and I really appreciated folk songs. And, they're fun to sing along to, and the words and stuff like that. It really connected with the environments that I lived in the very beginning stages, if you would. That and sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. And my friend says if I had a song that I could sing for you. Sometimes I had a hard time following the lyrics in the songs because the way the sheet music is. Okay, it starts on this page and then it goes up here, and sometimes it repeats back. And I remember there's like a repeat type thing to go back to the beginning of the verse and stuff, or to the beginning of the sheet music. And that sometimes took me a while to learn the details of sheet music. That's a whole note. Okay, tied into another one. And each whole note gets, is it 4 beats? And leaving on a jet plane, I love that song a lot too. Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. I love when there's lyrics in it. Music like that. Let me see. And that's the list of the songs that are in it. So this was like my second or third music book. Obviously, I had it by the time I was in junior high school, because that was my vision of what I really wanted to do. If I was going to be in the talent show, I wanted to sing Daydream Believer because I really loved that song at the time. And it's really funny. I don't know when Guns N' Roses started with Appetite for Destruction, when that was released, versus the date here. I thought I didn't see Guns N' Roses until I was in high school, 9th grade, lunchroom. That's where I first met the magazine of Slash, and I think Axl Rose was in it too. And I was like, wow, that's a big difference for a lot of the things that I was into throughout my life up to that point. And with that being said, Axl Rose, okay, does that dance. That's funny, because I was never much of a dancer. And when I was in my bedroom and like with this Daydream Believer, and I used to listen to it, I used to kind of imitate David Jones because I kind of wanted to be able to dance at least a little bit. And it's funny because within a couple years, at least, I'm sitting down and I'm playing Appetite for Destruction on guitar. And I used to say a lot, Axl Rose, the way he dances sometimes reminds me of Davy Jones, And that's one of the things I really liked. Okay, check this out. Now we're getting into Cinderella. Let's stop and make sure everything's okay. So, one of the more memorable moments in my life is working this job ain't paying the bills. Okay, Cinderella night songs. Now, I try not to get too excited about celebrity type people, national recording artists, touring artists, nationwide, because as soon as I do, it's almost like they jackknife my thought process. Evidently, they don't like me talking about stuff like that, and I don't know why. Cinderella, as a guitar player, meaning me as a guitar player, Tom Kiefer specifically, but the band, yes, was inspirational. There was a lot of things that Tom Kiefer played that was during my learning times. It was almost like a perfect match. And though mixed with some things that were very challenging for me, if I could even do, it had a lot to offer with things that I was, by that time, past the beginning stages, a couple years. I had to learn as many songs on the Night Song album as I could, at least in bits and pieces, because it really was one of my favorite albums at that time. I loved Nobody's Fool, of course, and Save Me was really, really cool. The Shake Me, I remember during that time, I was like, I wonder why they don't play it that much anymore, because I'm not sure. But I thought that was one of the first videos that I remember seeing of Cinderella. And I only seen it a few times, and then somewhere along the lines, I think Nobody's Fool or Save Me came in, and they played that a lot. And I loved both those songs. So I loved the ones that they were promoting. But I also, once I had the album, I really liked listening to a lot of the other songs. And there was few albums that I liked the entirety of the album, and this was definitely one of them. And I had their poster on my wall. I used to talk to it, and I thought they were one of the coolest looking bands ever. I don't know how I came across this, but I wanted the actual tablature book, and I saw that they had Dr. Licks, and it came with a cassette, which was good for me because I thought I had a learning disability. So for someone to be able to talk and play, I don't remember if this played at different speeds. I don't remember what the cassette was like, but I could learn when doing this, and I thought it was the coolest thing because at that time, I don't really remember learning the entirety of many songs. So I was only starting to get into bar chords and stuff with like Looks That Kill and Smoke on the Water and Iron Man by Ozzy Osbourne. I am Iron Man. Now, into the book. I think I got this at Marty's Music Store. I don't know for sure, but I thought I did. And it could have came with the guitar teacher, meaning I could have got it at that place, but I'm almost positive I went to Marty's Music Store. Because my guitar teacher at the time, Paul, might have been the one who helped me out a little bit with this book. I'm not 100% sure at this time because I'm not like reviewing it and seeing any notes or anything written by someone. Because I can usually tell when somebody else wrote something versus my handwriting. Which, after first grade, for some reason, my handwriting began to become sloppier. I was less interested, and I used to love, when I first learned how to write, I really liked it a lot. And I was really into it, looking really, really nice, and then all of a sudden, I just started to lose interest, like, pretty quick. So that's a disappointment to me, and I understand now more of how that could have happened. We get in here. I like this, featuring solos from Night Songs, the album, including Cinderella's personal performance tips for each solo. Wow. Okay, and check that out. So here is the band Cinderella. And Jeff LaBar, who was kind of like a visual of the kind of person that I was. If I was in a band at that time and we were doing music and stuff and playing out, I saw myself more as somebody who was like Jeff LaBar. I don't know this for sure because I wasn't in the studio with Cinderella and I didn't see their concert very clearly up close, but he seemed to have a nice energy about him, a nice personality when he was playing, very entertaining. I liked the way he dressed, and when they played solos together, Tom Kiefer and Jeff, I thought, that was probably some of the cooler visuals of how when somebody says, like today, how do you see yourself, Well, more like a Jeff LaBar supporting somebody like the rest of the band, but Tom Kiefer in his singing, and therefore I would have been like a harmony singer and harmony guitar player. And I liked when they worked together on the guitars. I thought that was really cool looking at the time. Well, two guitar players playing together, and they're doing solos and stuff. And I don't know if he was perceived as more of a rhythm player, but I really knew that I wanted to be more of a rhythm player. I felt like if I focused on the rhythm, all the other additional challenges, like with speed and all the different techniques and stuff, wouldn't necessarily be there until I started listening to Metallica more in depth. Then I realized even a rhythm player looks like it would have a lot of difficulties. So anyway, I remembered seeing Cinderella in Hershey Arena, and I didn't feel I had a voice like Tom Kiefer at all. But when I heard the backups, Eric, I was hoping back then that I would have got the opportunity to meet Eric someday, if only to tell him I thought that he had really awesome hair. And I don't usually like bass players in a band, meaning it's not that I don't like them, it's that usually I'm drawn to the singer and a lot of times the electric guitar players. I always thought that was like exceptional talent when a singer played really good guitar, like Tom Kiefer does, B.B. King does, Eric Clapton does. I was more into this kind of music. There was blues in it. For me as a listener, I thought it was very rock and roll, and I thought they had kind of a heavy sound on this album. Not heavy, heavy like thrash metal, heavy poppy. And I really liked that. That's why I like the Night Songs song. The Night Song. The four of them is what was more of like a focus for me. And you know something? When I was at Hershey Arena, one of my greater joys is I was like on what would be perceived the middle of the arena, the second floor or something. And I remember walking over and I saw Jeff LaBar playing on the side view. And he was moving while he was playing guitar like he did in the music videos. And I was like, wow. And look at his hair. You could see that his hair was like really fluffy and stuff. That was a very memorable moment for me. I wanted to get as close as I could on the floor I was on to the band. And I remember looking over when I was on the side view of the stage and I saw Eric and his hair and them playing. And I loved Eric's voice a lot when he would sing along with Tom Kiefer and stuff. I often said that if I did play bass in a band, then I would want to play a lot like he did. That's how I kind of saw myself, that kind of similar bass player kind of personality. I thought I saw myself like that, But I wanted to play guitar that was for real. And I tried to stay away from the bass because that also seemed to be filled with some complications for me in the spreading of the fingers and stuff, The strings bigger, the frets wider and stuff. So anyway, we'll go through this really quick. I don't want to use up too much time in doing it. For anybody who's ever studied this book, I thought it was well worth it. I tried to take care of it. The pages are not really all that worn so far. Doesn't look like there's any tears. And there's that Back Home Again. I used to love that song. 'Cause I'm back home again. I don't know if it has any of the lyrics in here. I remember he's talking about the job or what have you, and I thought to myself, my gosh, he must have had quite the challenging time. I think I was trying to psychologically think, when I'm listening to their music, and he's talking about being 22, I'm thinking when it comes to even age, like, he must have really lived before, like, he wrote songs. I don't know how they got their start, when they started, teenagers, junior high school, or what have you. They might have said something, I don't really remember it, because I'm familiar with people working and doing what they felt that they needed to do, the challenges that are in that. When he says that and how he says it in the song, really made me think, about future years of my life and working for people. What am I going to do? And is it going to turn out to be something like, you hear a lot about different blues players and stuff. They seem to have a lot of lows and stuff, and I didn't want to be one of those people going through those hard times, So that's in the visualizing of self. Like, there was a season of time that I was really concerned because I was not interested in anything in the world. At that time, guitar was really one of my only interests, and hanging out with my friends. And I liked muscle cars, and I liked to ride bike and stuff, but that was pretty much it. A lot of guitar playing. I like this one, Hell on Wheels. There's many times I heard that coming out of a Nova in the center of Lebanon Village as my friend was coming to pick me up. There was a season of time that he used to listen to this album specifically, and it was always blasting out of his car windows, I would tell people I would hear Cinderella before I would see my friend Dave pull up in his car. In from the Outside, I like that. Let's see what else we got here. I ended up somehow having that in the guitar for a practicing musician, and I was so grateful because I learned all the solos to that, and it was one of the few songs at the time that I learned the details of a solo, and I was so happy to be able to do that. And a lot of what's going on in the solo of the book that I had and the positions and stuff like that, I ended up carrying in onto my life when I would be jamming like with other people, and I wouldn't actually be playing the solo, but I would be playing sections of the solo similar to that. And like when you start playing a solo to a song, you may hold it a little bit different than the person who plays the solo in a band. You might adapt a different way or a different position in playing that just because the comfortability in what it is you're doing with your fingers and stuff. I ended up throughout my life, a lot of the stuff that I studied out of Cinderella, I was not good at jamming. So when you go to jam, I'm not a free jammer. I do the best I can. The blues scale has helped me out tremendously with that. I usually resort back to a lot of the same things that I worked on practicing and stuff. So it doesn't sound like it specifically unless I guess you would be familiar with that specific section that I'm playing, in a song or what have you. But when it came to free jam, it was very difficult. I was better when I had a song that I was familiar with and I could play along to because I studied it and I practiced it on a regular basis. But there was guys that I used to play with sometimes, especially drummers. They seem like they can jump in with anything. And I was one of those people. I cannot just jump in with anything. I have to have some kind of understanding before I do it, So I really admired people that can do that. Those are people evidently that they say they have been playing their whole life at that time. And I felt like I've been playing pretty much my whole life too, and I felt like I was struggling with it big time. So once around the ride, I really wanted to learn the Save Me intro. Here it is, the last song. We only got a couple minutes left here. Somebody Save Me. That was one of my favorite videos, and I loved the intro to these. I even watched the video over and over again to see if they were playing it like in this book here. And I love, the harmony notes. They go up. I was so happy to be able to play that. And when I got this book, to be able to play two notes together, for me, that was outstanding. And I think this is one of the first songs that I ever learned how to play two notes at the same time and actually make it sound interesting to listen to. I see no writing in this whatsoever. I don't see no beer stains. I tried to take very good care of this book. And I did good. I don't know if my brother has the cassette yet or not, or if that ended up getting destroyed in my cassette player. And I don't know who this guy is here. Transcribed by Cinderella and Dr. Licks. Is that Dr. Licks there? And then it has this on. It says $15.95 in the United States of America.